Good afternoon. My name is Jane. I go by Princess Etch. I am a professional Etch-a-Sketch artist, and today I am so excited to share an interview that I just had with two amazing people in the toy industry. Alan Dorfman is the founder and CEO of Super Impulse Toys, who brings you products such as the world's smallest Etch A Sketch, as seen here as well, and all of the other world's smallest line of toy products. So many of you have seen these in stores. Many of you probably own these yourselves, and it was incredible to speak to the man that is the creator of it all. I also got to speak with Meri Gelb, the in-house head of marketing and communications at Super Impulse, and it was such a special conversation, everyone. You will see that throughout the entire interview, I will have been grinning ear to ear because it's so cool to talk to what, in my opinion, are tycoons in the toy industry because they had such an impact on my life, and I know the lives of many others. I got to share some of my favorite Etch-a-Sketch products from over the years, especially going all the way back to the basic fun days. Etch-a-Sketch used to be miniaturized as a keychain, and Alan Dorfman has some really interesting anecdotes about that, as well as the Etch-a-Sketch wristwatch, which you know me as an Etch-a-Sketch collector, you know I gotta have this one in package as well. So without further ado, let's roll that interview, and you'll see me be a little silly goose, just so excited about talking to these people. Thank you. First off, I just want to thank you both so much for taking the time to have a meeting with me and discuss the history of the world's smallest Etch-a-Sketch and your experience with Super Impulse and Basic Fun. So I wanted to give both of you an opportunity to introduce yourselves, and I'll share a little bit about myself afterwards. So I guess, Meri, if you wouldn't mind starting first.
Well, nice to meet you, another Marylander. Maybe I could even drop off samples to your house. We live so close. So Alan is the founder of Super Impulse, and together I've worked for him for, God, almost 10 years. So everything related to marketing, PR, social media, digital, as well as Amazon kind of falls under my direction. So I work very closely with Cass and her team because they're amazing. No one does it better as far as, the marketing and the PR end. So we're a good team. I think there could be some good opportunity here for us to work together.
Fantastic. Oh, it's so nice to meet you, Meri. And I'd love to hear about you as well, Alan. You're the one who reached out to me initially, so I'm very thrilled that we're having this meeting today.
So I spent a lot of time on Reddit. My wife would call it an addiction. So that's where I came across you. And as soon as I saw it, I actually had to I don't think I've ever messaged anybody on Reddit before, ever. So you have that honor, but I couldn't resist. And I think Meri short sold herself. It's been more than 10 years. So she's been with us from the beginning. So I founded Super Impulse with two partners, both based overseas, one in Asia, one in South America. We started with a different direction, but found relatively quickly that there was a void in the market that was left from my former company, which I'll jump on in a second. And we decided almost at once to pursue a line called World's Smallest. And Etch A Sketch was one of those introductory brands that World's Smallest launched with. Prior to Super Impulse, I had founded and was president of Basic Fun for over 20 years. And going back to Basic Fun, we were known for miniatures on keychains. And Etch A Sketch keychain was our number 2 product. So it also has very early roots in my companies and was a staple in our line for the entirety of my ownership. So it was over 20 years. So I've worked with the people at Ohio Art to start the program and currently work with Spin Master, who owns the brands. So I have a long history and a personal love for the brand for Etch A Sketch.
That's so amazing to hear. I figured you'd appreciate seeing, this was a recent acquisition of mine, the 10th anniversary Basic Fun keychain. I've got a lot of samples just on my desk, but you've probably seen a couple videos of mine where I showcase a lot of my kooky Etch A Sketch collection. Yeah, it's very interesting to me. I mean, growing up, I've always had an Etch a Sketch keychain on some sort of product of mine. I'm wearing the watch right now from Basic Fun.
Gee, man, you got it all.
Oh
That
yeah.
was
Oh yeah. And then this is the world's smallest. I have to say I sincerely appreciate that you did actually shrink it down more from the keychain as though it could theoretically get any smaller than it
It's
was.
as small as it could be. It's 10% smaller in a keychain. That was our objective when we started World's Smallest. It's got to be smaller than anything we've done in the past.
Yeah. Well, you knocked it out of the park, and I have to say I'm so impressed. I find the world's smallest Etch a Sketch on store shelves even more than any other Etch a Sketch. Like the ubiquity of the world's smallest line. Everywhere I go shopping, there's like usually some kind of a kiosk or some display or stand, and I love looking at all of the different products that you come out with. And I did see,
Thank you.
I saw some photos from the New York Toy Fair that there's a new World's Smallest Etch a Sketch coming out.
There is. I will. I
I don't
will.
have a sample of it.
Oh no.
Well,
Um,
and I'm happy to. I'll share some photos of when I publish the video and everything. But I was reading an
Let me
article.
put you on mute. I can have one brought up, so I can,
Oh,
and we'll send it. We'll send it to you right away. So
Oh.
we have them here.
What an honor!
Just let me find my
Sure.
button here.
Well, I have a follow up to you, Meri, because I read an interview that you did, and you talked a lot about how one of the things you do with Super Impulse is you're very aware of trends and everything. And I thought that it was really poignant that you chose Snoopy, because I feel like there's kind of an advent, and like it's like the Snoopy fandom has kind of like reignited in more recent years. Now, my relationship with Snoopy is that I worked at Cedar Point, and the Peanuts brand is their mascots for the Cedar Fair or Six Flags parks now. And so I was curious about if you're able to share like what made you choose that franchise, or how you choose what inspires you to do these different collaborations. Because like this is one that I have from a long time ago, back in the 90s. We've got this Basic Fun Magic School
Yeah. Oh,
Bus.
so it looks familiar, boy. You're bringing back my whole.
Oh
every
my
dirty
gosh,
secret.
Alan.
Yeah, I mean we got the little box with it too. So yeah, it's very fun to see.
Peanuts anniversary was last year, so there was a huge Peanuts push. So the timing was perfect. In addition to the new Etch a Sketch, we had several items come out last year, and we have some new ones also in addition
Cool.
to the Etch. So the timing was perfect
Oh, that's
for
fantastic.
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alan can talk more. I mean, Alan's the one who we introduced. How many items? At least 50 a year,
Well, New
Alan?
World Smallest. No, a little less. We did I think 30 New World Smallest last year.
Wow.
For 2026. That's kind of an average number.
Yeah, I mean, but then we have like SKUs, like, different assorted colors. Yeah,
Sure.
there's a lot.
Sure.
So, going after what's launching is very important, very key for us.
Yeah. And I do feel like I notice my niece and my nephew, they're both really into Snoopy as well. And that's just something that it's fun to see the revitalization of that. And of course, all the variants, I've got, a lot from the Basic Fun era, but even like, for example, this was the 60th anniversary you did with Etch a Sketch for Super Impulse. As a collector, this is very pleasing to me. I'm very grateful for all the variants you've released over the years. Yeah.
But you can also see that we're targeting the collectors, we're targeting people who grew up with it, but we're also targeting they like to then buy it for their children or for their loved ones who are younger. So you see this multi-generational, appreciation for the items.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I notice I'm on all the social media, and I would say that the world's smallest size is the size. Oh, there it is. There it is, the Peanuts. Oh, that's glorious. I love it. I love when they make unique shapes too, like that Magic School Bus one. It's a fun innovation. But I feel like the size that I find that especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha bring up to be the most is the world's smallest. I feel like that's a lot of like the current generation's introduction to Etch a Sketch now. And it seems to fit really well with, I feel like in more recent years, there has been a trend in like tiny versions of things, especially in blind bags and everything. So it's cool to see that the generational shift of people's introduction to Etch A Sketch, I think, started with the classic size, and then over the years has kind of like naturally shrunk over time. But people are still really enjoying the brand after all these years. I mean, it's been around for almost 66 years now. And so I was curious to hear more about the ideation and execution and invention of reconfiguring an Etch A Sketch to this size, because I've actually disassembled one of these, and it's miraculous that it functions just like an Etch A Sketch would, but the mechanism inside does look quite different. So I don't know if that's something that you're able to share more about, Alan, or if there are people, that have more insight about what that looked like.
I'll give you the quick history, and it'll answer most of your question.
Sure.
Long time ago at Basic Fun, I had the idea to miniaturize a Super Soaker, put it on, and the only way I was going to get the rights to it, I worked at Laramie, who did Super Soaker for a short time, about 10 months. At the time, Super Soaker was under development, so it was a big deal around that off. They didn't know it was going to be as big as it became, but at the time it was a big focus of their development. I left the company, but stayed in touch with them, kept on good terms with them, and started Basic Fun. We were doing impulse toys, and but miniature Super Soaker would work. The only way I knew I could convince them to give me a license was to promise to put a keychain on it, since they were in the keychain business. And eventually they agreed. Took a little while, and it took off right away. It was a hit. And I know I needed a follow-up, or else I would be another one-hit wonder. Went to Toys R Us. I wandered the aisles. Etch A Sketch caught my eye. It was a childhood favorite. So I bought it. I took it back to the office. I took a hacksaw to it, and I disassembled it. And with that, I'm not an engineer. My degree is in marketing and design. I said, yeah, we can do this. It was a little bit bold. It was a little bit naive. And we went to the owners of Etch A Sketch, which was Ohio Art. And I have to say, they were terrific people. They were just really wonderful, kind people. And they were a little skeptical at first. And I told them, well, let me go ahead and do it. And I offered them some money, and said, if I can't make it, then you keep the money and, part as friends. So they gave me two conditions. They wanted me to use a factory that they had some experience with and trusted in China, with a Hong Kong-based office. And they wanted me to buy the powder from that. Two very reasonable requests, which is what we did. So I went over to Hong Kong and I met with the factory, and they had a guy who was their liaison between their Ohio office and their Hong Kong people, and met with him as well. Terrific guy named Chu Chung, and a little bit of trial and error, but we made it. They first told us, the factory, no, you can't make it this small, and which we said, look, if it was easy, somebody would have done it already. So let's really, and so so they came up with a couple of versions, and each time got a little better. Finally, we got the one that said, hey, this is great. So that was the first small version, which was on a keychain, and it took a little bit longer in Super Soaker to take off, as Super Soaker was a trending toy at that time, but I think eventually it caught up. It became a staple in our line. We updated it several times with, we did a watch, we did different colors. We did a couple of custom pieces like the school bus, and we did everything they would allow us to do.
Yeah.
Over the years, we found Ohio Art had, based on what we had done, I'd seen other opportunities And it licensed the pen version, which I wasn't too crazy about. Basically, people were copying what we did. They also did a candy topper with Candy-rific. Good people, but I didn't love them stealing the idea either. But so, yeah, the miniature version kind of took on a life of its own. Eventually, I sold Basic Fun. And the guys I sold it to decided to turn the company into a different direction and moved away from the keychains, which was unusual since it's a terrific keychain line.
Yeah.
And I was starting Super Impulse with my new partners. And we were at Toy Fair, our first New York Toy Fair, and realized that there were no working miniatures out there anymore. And took advantage of the opportunity, went right back to Ohio Art and said, hey, I have an idea. You gotta let us do this. We're gonna make it not a keychain, we'll be the world's smallest. And they said, look, you had trouble making in the keychain size. I don't think it could be any smaller. And I said, well, again, same deal. If we can't do it, you keep the money we give you, and we'll go on our way. And we were able to make it a little bit smaller. It was the same factory we were using overseas, so they were all in, and it became the cornerstone, along with a few other products we launched of the world's smallest line. So now it's over 160 or 170 different items. But Etch A Sketch remains one of our top five sellers consistently, and it's one of the flagship brands.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. What are some of the other top sellers, out of curiosity?
Rubik's, Uno,
Magic 8 Ball,
Magic 8 Ball,
yeah.
Hot Wheels,
Stretch
kind of all
Armstrong.
the classics.
Yeah.
And in and of course, being the toy industry, when a toy starts to trend or get hot for whatever reason, we benefit from that. So right now we're benefiting from Neato, which is red hot out there. So we do world's smallest Neato, and we're doing all we can to keep up with the orders that are coming in. We also do a funny little monkey doll that's been around for years, kind of under the radar, called Monchichi. And we are doing world's smallest Monchichi. So right now those are at the top of our list, but they're a trend item. They're a fad.
Those are
so
adorable.
cute. You should see my desk.
Oh, I bet. Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. So,
But making it, but works, it really works. That's a huge selling point for World's Smallest. And we take a lot of pride in the quality of our products, and they truly do work just like the original. So, from, Monopoly to Etch A Sketch to Magic 8 Ball to Scrabble, Candyland, I mean, you name it, we have it in the line.
yeah, that's fantastic. I love that on the packaging for the world's smallest Etch A Sketch, it even says, yes, actually works. That's the number one question I get. I've converted a little one into a necklace, and people will ask, does that work? And I love that I'm able to say yes to that. And
so, all right, I'm going to give you two comments on that. First of all, everything on Basic Fun said, yes, really works. And we didn't want to copy it. So we said, actually works.
I love
And
that.
it's stuff that we've been saying it
people
since the
said, does it
beginning.
really work? So yeah, it actually works. So that was the answer. And where that came from is when we presented the very first Super Soaker prototype keychain to Laramie, who I had the license with. There were two partners who owned the company. One of the partners was very supportive, and one of the partners not so much. Walked in, looked at the package, said, what does this mean? It really works. I said, well, it really works. What do you mean really works? So I picked it up and I squirted it in. And he looked at me and said, oh, we made a big mistake.
Wreaking havoc on classrooms around America, I'm sure.
It was my hope.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, Basic Fun has been around since, according to the back of most of these Etch A Sketches, I think it says 1994, right? So is that
we found the company in 1991, so 94 is when Etch. We launched Super Soaker in 93, Etch in 94.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like quite the testament to the strength of your business that you have all these relationships with these toy companies. Like you've worked with all of these classic brands across the board that are owned by all of these giants in the toy industry. So is there knowing it doesn't shock me that you had a really positive experience with Ohio Art. I had the pleasure of touring the Ohio Art factory in 2019 after they got out of the toy business. But I just rang them up and said, "Hey, I'm a super fan of Etch A Sketch, and I'm going to be in Ohio, and I'd love to stop by." And they gave me and some Etch A Sketch artist friends a personal tour, and they've always just been the nicest. And I've also transitioned to working with Spin Master, and they've been phenomenal as well. I've gotten to work with them, and they've hired me for some freelance work on occasion. So what are some of the I imagine the toy industry is quite different now than it was in 1991. What are some of the key differences that you notice in the toy world today?
So there's been consolidations, acquisitions. So as a result, a lot of the companies we work with went from big companies to huge companies, mega corporations, and that brings a lot of different rules and procedures that we have to follow. Fortunately, though, we've been able to maintain really solid relationships, which kind of keeps us in a good standing with them. It's really important for us to execute great product, make their brands at our scale and our product in a way that it brings the same level of satisfaction to a consumer as it would the full size. So we want everybody to be just as happy as they are with the world's smallest as they are as the original. The other side of that, the flip side to that is we now work with smaller companies who are either one brand companies or emerging companies who come to us in a lot of cases and see us doing their product as a world's smallest as a badge of honor. Wow. As a status symbol, because now they're represented with among the best known toys in the world.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. That makes me so happy to hear. I'm glad to know that the relationship has in a way kind of flipped. You've got your longstanding relationships with those that you had to pitch to, but now you've got people pitching to you as well. And it
definitely goes both ways. Tell her about Bananagrams was a hard one to get.
So Bananagrams was one we chased from early on. I think the first or second trade show that we were exhibiting the new World's Smallest line. We set up a meeting with people from Bananagrams, and they came in, and they were very courteous and very very professional, but felt that our company just wasn't the right fit for them. They had one brand, and they were very protective of it, and family-owned business, so it didn't happen. And we would make inquiries over the following years and kind of got the same answer. And eventually, I got contacted by a British reporter named Deej Johnson, who works for a online newsletter that focuses on toy inventors. And he said, Bananagrams is my favorite toy. Why are you not doing that? And I told him we'd love to do it. They just don't feel it's a mix for us. So let me introduce you to the owner, which he did, and we hit it off. Rena Nathanson, she was terrific. She was an American woman who lives now, who relocated to London. She was the founder and co-inventor of Bananagrams. And they were very, very particular about their brand. They should have been. And we were very careful to execute exactly to what they were requesting. And it's became one of our top items. And the relationship has been great. She sold the company last year to Moose. So we through acquisition, are now a licensee of Moose toys.
Wow. Oh,
again, the ever-changing landscape, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, it continues to be a testament that you have been able to maintain these positive relationships, and a good reminder that at the end of the day, even with the giant business conglomerates, there's people behind it. You still have to be making these connections with the people behind the product. I mean, I remember, even as a young child, as a super fan of Etch A Sketch, I used to see Ohio Art from my childhood perspective as this monolith, this, single corporation that was faceless. And, eventually as I got older, I realized I can actually contact these people who work here and develop this relationship with them. And, I send Christmas cards to them every year. So
I'm sure you know, I mean, Ohio Art has a very, long-standing history in the toy industry. They used to do tin toys and, buckets and shovels back in the day. So they were around for quite a while before they took the chance on the, they found Etch A Sketch from a French inventor in Nuremberg toy show. It was quite different from anything else they were doing. And they, to their testament, not only did they do a great job, but it became the recognizable product. Their icon of the Ohio Art Company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it became part of their logo for, many years. It's definitely, their flagship, their pride and joy. They do have a really fascinating history. I have to ask both of you, though, do you have a favorite product that you've released with Super Impulse? Like, I'd love to know your personal favorites.
Hey, Meri, so would I. What's your personal favorite?
Oh my God, you should look at my desk right now. I've been, people are like, I've spent my career in the toy industry and my God, that's so many years. I'm like, I just love it. And I personally love miniature. One of my favorites is Tickle Me Elmo. I have him right here. And
As a
the
millennial,
giggle
that
is
warms my
infectious.
soul. Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked at Tyco at the time when we launched Tickle Me Elmo.
Wow.
So it has a lot of meaning and I go way back. But they just bring me joy. I have so many things in front of me. Care Bears is another one that I love. I have a little pink rainbow one in my car that I just had there for 10 years.
Aw.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I do also love the Etch A Sketch and Magic 8 Ball. Those are still top for me.
Yeah,
How about you, Ellen?
Yeah, I'm curious.
You asked me to pick from my children.
Right.
Etch A Sketch is without trying to be biased, is right at the top of the list. Was a favorite toy as a kid, and we were thrilled to acquire it. Some of them, probably are not so prominent. Stretch Armstrong sits on my desk, to the point where kind of wearing out the ink on it from being stretched so much. One that we don't do anymore, to my regret. Again, it's a childhood favorite of Silly Putty. We used to do a World's Most Silly Putty. Cool. We stopped doing it because it got to be very costly. We would buy the Silly Putty from Crayola, who makes it in U.S. in Eastern PA, and ship it over to Hong Kong. So it was authentic Silly Putty, even though we can easily make a silly putty compound in China. We wanted the authentic putty, and it just got too costly to ship it overseas and bring it back. So eventually we discontinued it. But I do keep a tub of it on my desk and a tub of it behind my back. So and let me think what else. Super Soaker is always going to have a sentimental value.
Yeah, of course.
That's the first
I
one.
love this. This is the world's coolest Polaroid. It is a replica. Obviously, we can't have a working camera, but we have the sound and the movement and the photo slides out. Love this one. Yes.
Well, I sincerely appreciate hearing in depth about the integrity you put into these products. You want them to function. You want them to be made with the parts that were from the actual full size things. And I mean, it's just a testament to these are little miniature works of art, like a feat of engineering that this even exists.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so it is such a pleasure. Is there anything that you'd like to share about some new products coming out? I know I mentioned the Snoopy Etch A Sketch coming out. Is there a potential release date for when you might expect that to be on store shelves?
So Snoopy Etch A Sketch is in our warehouse. It is shipping to stores right now, so it's out there, primarily in specialty stores. We love the way it came out. Meri mentioned, so last year was Peanut's 75th anniversary. And it was the first time we began working with Peanuts, and they were very supportive of us expanding the line and adding that's a Snoopy, yeah, and adding a Snoopy Etch A Sketch. It was more of a challenge to get the Spin Master on board,
Yeah.
but eventually they did, and we would really like to. We love co-branding opportunities, so Etch A Sketch will be high on the list for other co-brands going forward. So we work
Yay.
with different entertainment companies and other toy companies, so we think there's good opportunities.
But
Aside
I'd
from
like
that,
to
you know,
see-
World Smalls continues to grow, and we push the boundaries of everything we look at, and you know, things are getting have more parts and a little bit more complex, but we plow on.
Yeah, I mean, just to name a few, I literally have a list of ones that we're launching very soon that have to go up on Amazon, on our website, and that's we have a new Nerf blaster, we have a new Nerf Super Soaker, Nano Block, Koosh, Rush Hour, Yo Gabba Gabba, Guess Who, Nerf football. I mean, in addition to the Peanuts Etch, so there's a ton
Amazing.
coming out. But there's one thing I want to ask you. Like, I
Yeah.
looked at your work; it's amazing. I mean, what you could do on an Etch A Sketch is unbelievable, and I love to collaborate with you and, you know, show your, maybe do a post together. We can show off all the things that you're doing with our World's Smallest
Sure.
Etch and our Peanuts. I mean, there's a lot we could do together for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, I would absolutely love to chat more about that opportunity.
Okay.
It'd be so much fun. Anytime I get to work with my favorite brand ever, it's always a cherry on top.
So I'm curious, what is it that hooked you?
Well, I always say it started with boredom. So I was spending time at my grandma's house. She wouldn't let me watch TV as much as I wanted. And to pass the time, we had an old vintage classic Etch A Sketch in the house that had probably been passed down from cousin to cousin till eventually got to us, me and my siblings. And so I just tinkered around with the Etch A Sketch. When I started, I was by no means a savant. I would start with staircases and just got hyper fixated on it from around age 4. So yeah, I'm 34 now. So it's been 30 years of me just clocking in practice on Etch A Sketch. And thanks to the advent of the internet, that's how I feel like I've been able to have a career doing this. This June 1st will be my 10th anniversary of being a full-time professional Etch A Sketch artist. And that's
amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
It takes many forms. I do commissioned work. I make videos. I do activations. I do live streaming. And then there's all of the monetization through social media and everything. Yeah, it's thanks to the magic of the internet and especially social media that I feel like I've been able to pursue a career with the best toy ever. So
Do you sell via Instagram, TikTok? Where are you primarily?
yeah. So I have a website, princessetch.com. But my username on all my socials is Princess Etch. So it all kind of funnels to there. People can just find me, and then I've got a web store link through there and a little form for people who want to consider having me for a live event or what have you. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that I do to cobble together a full-time income, and it's been fantastic. And I've had to pivot a lot. I know, COVID affected basically every industry on the planet. So I lost all my in-person work in 2020, but was able to pivot more into doing social media and getting, monetization through that revenue of, the ad revenue. And then also doing focus more on video work and commissions and a lot of corporate kind of work. So, yeah, I've gotten to work with Spin Master. I've gotten to work with Netflix. Some of my Etch A Sketch art was used as hero props in a Netflix film. So that was amazing. It's called Spiderhead. Not the movie you'd expect Etch A Sketch to be in, but it's more of a psychological thriller. But it was one of the most fulfilling projects I've ever done. And I've gotten to work with Toys R Us, MTV, Callaway Golf, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. Basically, I tried to be the person that can create the nostalgic content to align with someone's brand, especially for social media videos and everything like that. So it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor. And It's been such a lovely pleasure to be able to speak with and meet both of you. Are there any final things you'd like to share? I know you shared some of the new products coming out.
Yeah, two things real quickly. Is one, I'm sure you noticed, but Ohio Art used to refer Etch A Sketch as the original laptop. So I thought that was always appropriate. And in your travels, if we can assist you, and I see that you're connected with Meri, with any other classic toys or any other contacts within the industry, we're glad to work with you.
Oh gosh, I sincerely appreciate that. I've definitely learned in my decade of doing this that it's those relationships that really matter. So that sincerely means a lot. Thank you.
Jane, do we have your address?
Yeah,
To
that's
send
what
you
we're going to
the-
ask you that.
Oh, I'll hook you up. I'll send you.
Yeah, send me that. So I'm
yeah,
going to get you this Snoopy Etch A Sketch. You don't have to go shopping, and we'll poke around and see if there's anything else that I think you'd be interested in.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time
All
and
right.
for your charitability and for sharing your experience at Super Impulse and Basic Fun with me. Thank you again.
All right. It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
As some final thoughts, I just wanted to share that one of the many fringe benefits of being a professional Etch-a-Sketch artist is that I am working in a toy-adjacent industry through my freelance art, and it has introduced me to so many cool people in the toy industry. Back when I lived in Chicago, I had the pleasure of connecting with Meri Cousin, who is the founder of the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, and through Meri, I got to be introduced to Leslie Scott, the inventor of Jenga. Are you kidding me? And guess what? Surprise, surprise, there is a world's smallest Jenga. I love how small a world it gets once you get into these industries. And I love that this is a rule that kind of exists across the board. It's not just toy, it's not just art, really so many industries. It's about the people you know, it's about the relationships you build, and I really genuinely love that. As someone who operates on a toy in my office alone all day, it means the world to me that I've developed these connections and relationships with people, not only in the toy industry, but other content creators and other artists and other people that don't necessarily build me up as my career or anything like that, but just people that I love having in my life. So I'm incredibly grateful that I had this chance to chat with Alan and Meri, and I am very excited about the prospect of potentially doing more interviews like this in the future. So if there's someone, especially Etch-a-Sketch adjacent, that you think I could benefit from interviewing, please share that in the comments below.